person to have responsibility for your life, to own your life. It's basically enslavement is the idea where you're to forfeit your responsibility and ownership of your own life, either to religion or entirely. Yeah. And you don't get an in-between. That's how the trap's set up, because you miss the part. You miss the ownership part.
Psychologically, isn't that the opposite of what most people are looking for? Things that they have control over?
Yeah.
So you would think it would work the opposite way.
That's the beauty of it. It's an ingenious trap. The design of religion is so meticulous and just gorgeous. It's a perfect machine, but not that perfect. Not perfect enough, because we're gonna bring that shit down.
Huh. I never thought about that before. That's a common theme that's been popping up with me a lot lately in conversations that I've had with people about a certain sensitive subject, but the control thing, you know, like things that you have control over and things that you don't have control over. And mostly I think that especially young people who are starting to come into their own and realizing that the responsibility of their lives is on their own heads are looking for more things that they want to have control over, more things in their life. Well, maybe really they don't, because that's the responsibilities. That's the scary part, is that you're responsible if you fuck up or if you fail or if you screw something up.
It seems as though they want to
it
be.
just makes sense.
They want to be in control. The kids nowadays with their like the activist complex, they want to be in control of things. They want to take control of things, like take control back from the man or the corporate empire, but really they're addicted to being victimized. They're addicted to not being in control.
It would work oppositely. If they did have control over everything, then that would mean that it's their own responsibility if something gets jacked up or if something doesn't work out or if it gets fucked up. Then since you got control because you wanted it and now it's fucked, that responsibility is all on your head. And I think that is a scarier realization than just not having the control in the first place and saying, you know what, it got screwed up, but it's not my fault because I wasn't in control. It's Jesus.
Absolutely. And that's how religion snags you if you're not indoctrinated at an early age when you don't know any better.
Yeah.
Is it'll get you when you're weakened and you feel out of control and you feel like, as I made an example of so many times before, like if you explore lucid dreaming or projection of any sort and you encounter creatures, aliens of some kind, you encounter something frightening and you go and you tell somebody, of course they're likely going to run to a religious person because they think that's the spiritual person. So they're going to run to the religious person. They're going to say, well, I encountered these demons, these inner demons, these creatures in my mind. And that person's going to be like, those are demons. Those are real demons, and you need Jesus to protect you from them. And they're going to give you an easy out, an easy explanation, and basically they're going to give you this placebo pill that is just shut it out, ignore it. Right. You don't have to have responsibility for it. Jesus is your shield.
And he'll take all the responsibility for everything that goes wrong.
It's a psychological shelter.
Did you hear about the story of a guy? Oh my gosh, I heard about this a few weeks ago when I was listening to the radio show that I like. Some guy somewhere, like a 20-something-year-old man, went to a priest because he had some kind of issue, and I don't know a lot of the specifics, but basically this priest convinced the guy that he needed to do this ritual where dude, not the priest, but the guy, gets naked and lays on the floor, and the priest then places different objects on his body and around him and does the burning incense and different chants and stuff, and then proceeds to suck the demons out of his penis. Like, if you're not 10 years old, like, how do you fall for that?
If it's gotta be that way, it's gotta be that way. That's how Jesus gets
and
shit
he
done.
was like, oh, right, yes, of course!
So I suppose that's where they would come out of, right?
Well, it is the evil, dirty place.
Exactly.
Oh my god, I forgot all about that until just now. I don't know what state it was in. I don't think it was here in our home, maybe.
See, but also, to speak to that, they do have ceremonies and rituals of that sort in religion all over the place, and sacrificial rites and, all kinds of shit like that.
BJs are among the sacred rituals.
The blowjob's one of the more secret, more adept rituals that only specific priests can pull off with specific people. But
I wonder if he swallowed the demons.
He would have to, right? He's a sin eater, as it will go. But they do have these ceremonies and these practices with like incense and shit and
chanting and songs.
Chanting and sacrificial shit. I mean, can somebody try and help me out? Because I'm having trouble understanding what the difference between that and witchcraft is. Yet witchcraft, in their perspective, as they say, is evil, is work of demons. And it's like, well,
that's just propaganda.
If they do the same thing,
that's the reefer madness of Wicca, like it's.
If they do the same thing with Jesus as their back, then it's cool. But if somebody else does it with the nature at their back, then it's evil
and it's Satan. Yeah, that just seems like the classic propaganda. We use that a lot for anything that we want.
Right.
We want to control
people. And we're so confused nowadays anymore that it's been so conflated, as you said earlier, that it's this protracted propaganda campaign that is just everything, no matter where you turn. And that's how hard it's hit us, just as the trap was initially set to be either fanaticism or atheism. It's going to be, no matter where you turn nowadays, there's going to be some factor or another regarding this particular theme.
Down the middle, man. Right down the middle. It's everything right now is black and white. But I was trying to tell my brother, he gets all fucking creeped out after watching YouTube videos. And he comes over here all hyped up about whatever. And I was trying to tell him that statistically, I'm pretty sure that most people in the country, specifically our nation, I'm not sure about the rest of the world or whatever, but everyone's walking around saying, oh, there's never been more divisive, blah, blah, blah. I think, again, that's just how it appears. I'm pretty sure that most people are gray, middle of the road, just want to care for their families and be able to survive. And politically speaking, it seems like everybody is split up into these factions and civil war could break out at any moment and people get all hyped up and scared about that. But I don't actually think that's the case. I think that statistically it shows that a lot of that stuff, the incidents of clashing of these two, factions or whatever, usually happen in cities with the more famous liberal arts colleges on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And so basically everything in the middle is all people that, of course they vote one way or another, but they're not going out and throwing hammers at people that don't agree with them. And most people are just middle of the road, kind of in the gray area. But we're made to think that this scary time and civil war is going to break out at any moment. And I think it's a propaganda meant to get everybody all freaked out.
Yeah, and it's funny that,
it's working.
If you take notice, it's going to be the East Coast or the West Coast where the statistics are higher, but it's going to be the middle where it's a middle ground. That's a perfect representation of it.
I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very, very interesting. But it's left, middle, right, and that's kind of what's, those are the words that people use to describe what's happening.
It's an analogy. So, it's another example of the microcosm, the macrocosm, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's going to be that our metaphysical status is going to be represented in our actual physical status, so to speak. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that correctly, but
it manifests.
It all manifests as a representation of others, and it's not like the actual properties of the thing that's actually being manifested. It's the values of it.
It's the symbology of it. Yeah, it's the representation.
But
of the value itself.
Religion, we can just get so fucking carried away with, and we could make several videos covering religion. Let's finish this guy off so that we can get what we're actually here for.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Give me a ping pong table. You don't have to give me a ping pong table if you don't want to. It's just a suggestion.
Ping pong tables.
That's worship. And you have to give money to God. Well, more precisely, you have to give money to the priests and preachers and TV evangelists who claim that they can talk to God better than you can. There is a bargain that religious people make. And the bargain goes like this. I will be a mindless drone here on earth that does whatever the fuck I'm told, but then when I die, I get to go to heaven. I get to have pure bliss for all time. And that bargain was probably something a lot of people needed when life was infinitely more cruel than it is now. And of course, some people's lives still are very cruel. But today, we have technology, we have medicine, we have infrastructure, we have culture, we have new understandings of the world and our place in it and what our place in it could be in the future. We have things that make our lives less.
So, like he just said, you know, with technology, we have technology and we have modern medicine, and that's what another thing atheists will jump to is going to be, well, we have technology now, we have a better, newer understanding. Well, the truth is, actually, we really don't. And what we're going to have to come to pretty soon, which I'm not sure if atheists are really acknowledging even quantum mechanics and what we're learning from that, but...
Not at all.
Yeah, basically...
From the way this guy is talking about
what we're learning through our actual studies in actual scientific exploration...
That science and religion are one.
is that, well, science and spirituality are one.
Right.
Again, I think that the distinction we can make between spirituality and religion is going to be that spirituality is, as I've stated, like a philosophical methodology in the sense that it's a way of being, it's a way of understanding, it's a just kind of like a feeling of a thing, whereas religion is going to be this dogma, this schematic that's drawn up. It's going to be the cage that binds that feeling. Which to bind is, you know, what is it?
Yeah, I never knew that. I like that's very interesting.
But with quantum mechanics and what we're learning from that, ultimately, very soon and very quickly here, we're going to have to start adapting our understanding to what we do know from the elder traditions and spirituality in general. And we're going to have to start coming to understand that as the reality, because that's what we're learning and that's what it's going to be. Is the understanding of our sacred heritage as being the truth.
But it's like the archaeologists, those people just ignore the set of facts that don't fit into their preconceived notion of what everything is like, which is so fucking boring. Why would you pick something and then just not want to ever move forward?
Oh, as I was thinking, because maybe when they remove a piece of their map, you know, it can fuck up all the other pieces of their mapping.
Everything crumbles.
And so they have to start over again, and basically they, ultimately in that regard, it's going to come down to them being lazy, because I mean...
I was just going to say, so what if you do have to start over? What if you do have to start from scratch on what you know about yourself and your spiritual path? What if you do have to start from scratch? I feel like that could be a fun adventure.
It's an
I mean,
adventure.
yes,
and
that could be an adventure
exactly it. Is that
of experience and learning, and your life would be completely different. You know, I feel like that's not
new avenues, new things. Like you want to experience new things, and it's not just you don't just want to experience new things because it's fun. You want to experience new things because that's how you keep your brain in shape. That's how you keep your spirit in shape. That's how you keep. You have to keep growing, or you'll stagnate and you'll dissipate. But I'm thinking that's also going to be the prideful ego thing, because essentially human beings, as our educational system has worked for so long, is basically it's based in the premise that, well, we know this and we can tell you this for a fact. Yet, you know, science class will teach you something one day, and then a month later it could have different lessons because we've learned something different that's altered our understanding.
Which is such a cool thing. I think that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, and with quantum mechanics and our understanding of things, as I was saying, what we're going to come to understand here is that the rules are malleable. That we don't know anything because it can't be known as. In fact, it's what we know that makes reality.
It's not objective. That's what we were saying earlier. Is that all you have to do is look at the double slit experiment, which is one of the. It's like the very lowest tier of introduction to quantum physics. Means that everything changes depending on who's looking and when and why and how and where. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that's concrete all the time.
So
things move. Even the damn protons and electrons down to our very atoms, things change depending on their environment.
Now, thereby that could be the answer, and I found this to be the answer in theology too, is that coming to understand the nature of God, the reality of God, coming to understand the nature of physics, which are one and the same thing, essentially, or you could say rather that physics is the construct and that God is the force what makes use of that construct, but again, they're ultimately the same thing, and I think that it's frightening. It's going to be frightening to come to the understanding that there are no rules, that we have nothing to hold on to, that we don't know what the reality is because it can change.
But when that happens, can be frightening. That's a, well, I guess I wouldn't know really, but I mean maybe a little bit. Yeah, you know what, I do fucking know. If you're in that state and you're frightened and you're desperate for something to hold on to, that's the time when you look inward and you hold on to the things that you know to be true about yourself. Mm-hmm. Fuck the environment, fuck whatever you've been taught, what you've learned, and if it's wrong and all that bullshit. When you're desperate, I mean truly desperate for something to hold on to, there's no other place to go than inward. Mm-hmm.
And that's where my concept of directive relativity comes into play. I think that ultimately when it comes down to it, where we're going to get to in the future is that each person will have a degree of leeway to make their own rules, to apply their own understanding to life and to physics itself. And that's where we get like superpowers and shit. So fucking excited about that one. That's going to be the cool part where we're like, if people can make their own rules. Like, I want to make cars fly. Well, I want to fucking multiply food in my hand.
Fucking mind bullets.
Yep.
Well, this guy's only got a couple minutes left. Let's see what else he has to say. I do have to say, I'm totally with him on the fucking giving money to the church thing.
Right.
Jeez, would people stop doing that? These people actually go out and say, well, God wants me to have 5 private jets so that I can help the rest of the world with all of my private jets. Right. And people eat that shit up and they're like, oh, right, of course, that makes sense. That's why you have private jets.
You gotta wonder if they believe that shit.
Of course they don't. It's a total fucking scam. There's total charlatans. It's crazy. But people eat it up. They're like, oh, I'm so glad you got that private jet. I'm have diabetes and live alone in my home and can't afford medical care and can barely go grocery shopping once a month and have, Meals on Wheels stopping by every day, but I'm still going to give you all of my Social Security check so that you can have a fucking private jet. That's ridiculous.
Bottom line on that shit, churches are exempt from paying taxes, are you? Why should you be giving them money?
Why in the frack would that happen in the first place? Why would that happen in the first place? Who fucking raised their hand one day and was like, hey, government, make sure that religions don't have to pay taxes. And that just opens the door for all kinds of shady shit to start going on.
It's because religion created the government. Essentially, one or the other.
Yeah, you're right. And they've always worked in tangent with each other to control people.
It's a chicken or the egg scenario. But therein we have that question that we were asking earlier. Is religion something that's always existed? That's
I'm
something
so curious about that. I'm going to look into that a little bit more because that's a weird concept.
It is. That's something that the atheists have a debate over, and of course they believe that they know the answer. But
right. Everything's a cult except for them.
Let's be very clear about this. Atheism is a cult. In fact, they're the very worst kind of cult because they're ignorant to the fact that they're cultists. But their idea is that, well, is religion something that is just like inherent in mankind that presents itself with consciousness, which I wanted to say a moment ago, where it comes to the concept of God as being you know, when you said that God is within and I am God, you know, and I am God presenting itself. Ultimately, it's, as I said, it's the decision factor itself. It's you having responsibility. When you become aware, when you become conscious, as consciousness emerges into reality, it cannot help but make decisions. That's what it is. It makes decisions, and so thereby that's why consciousness is in fact God, and God is all things, because any consciousness that emerges is faced with decisions, responsibility. That's what it's made. That's what consciousness is made of, decision. So,
and relativistically speaking, that's how definitions are made. You can only know what something is by knowing what it's not. And if you were alone in the world, then you wouldn't know shit.
Exactly. And thereby you can say that God is definition, but at the same time God is the absence of definition. That's the scary part about coming to understand God, is that in ultimate reality it is nothing. It cannot define itself because it is the only thing that exists.
That's the abstract part that makes it so hard for people to understand, which makes sense, absolutely, but you know, some things are just abstract. Even certain things about science, like quantum physics, that's pretty abstract. Right. You know, you can't say something's definitive if it's constantly changing and evolving, and so you'd think people would be fucking used to that by now.
Right.
You know,
but the best part too, the bottom line is that it's happening. It is. So I mean, like, if you really look at it, if you really look at the concept of God and reality consciousness itself, it's impossible. It can't happen. It cancels itself out just in its very being, yet it is. So not only are the rules malleable, not only are there no rules, but there's nothing to say that there are no rules. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I am that I am. But they ask, is religion something that's inherent in humanity, or was it designed by humanity? Obviously we can see that it was designed by humanity. It was devised by humanity, but
maybe the organized religion aspect of it. But again, like we were talking about, the Druids
maybe
and the
it's just something
mysticism and nature and that kind of stuff. I think that's always been there, an aspect of it, because I feel like that's a really important part of the human experience, is to have that abstract thing.
Yeah, and essentially it's something to be aspiring to.
You know, every tribe and every nation on the planet has had holy men or shamans or whatever you want to call it. It's all part of the same. It's all the same
there
thing.
We go. Here's an idea. The difference between spirituality and religion could be stated in the same difference between pride and arrogance. When you are working to bring yourself up and you're holding yourself up and bringing others up, you know, when you are putting yourself up, you can be proud of that. It's when you're putting others down to hold yourself up, you know, that's where it becomes arrogant.
Just talking about that.
So religion is kind of the same way.
Oh my God, no! I was literally just talking about this with Trin earlier today when we were in the car.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the difference between ego and confidence. She was talking about some kid who's a douche in her school or whatever, and everything, you know, she was like, God, this guy is annoying and everything is always about him and he thinks he's so great. And I was like, yeah, you know, that happens a lot. You're going to come across that a lot. And it popped in my head. I was like, that's the difference between just being confident, which there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely not, and then dealing with your ego, who the only way to feel confident is by putting other people in their place and putting other people down. But if it's true confidence, then no matter what anybody else is doing, you're lifting yourself up. Right. And there's a huge difference between those two things. That's so funny. That was literally today.
Yeah, and see, it's like, and that's a core of my value system, that understanding that, you know, you elevate yourself and you hold yourself up, you suspend yourself on your achievements, your accomplishments, your aspirations. It's when you need to tear other things down to hold yourself up, essentially you're at a low point.
Relativistically speaking, there's a difference there, and there's certain things that change that dynamic And if you need something else to get lower so that you feel up here,
it's an illusion.
Then it's an illusion. But if you pop up, by your own actions and feelings so that you feel better, then that's totally different. Yeah, that's relativity,
Mm-hmm.
No, that's interesting. If that isn't synchronicity, I don't know what the hell is.
All right, let's cap this guy off.
Like a pointless struggle and more like a productive enterprise. Humanity, I gotta tell you, your blessings will not come in the next life. Your blessings have come in this one. And they have been delivered to you, not by God, not by religion, not by the priests. They have been brought to you by science. They have been brought to you by reason. They have been brought to you by human emotion and human instinct. Not by God and not by dogma. Jesus claimed to heal the sick. Well, guess what? Science actually has. God could destroy cities with his wrath. And guess what? Now man can do that
and right
too.
there is where it becomes ego, or it becomes vanity, or it becomes arrogance, is where science, the merit of science is based on, how it's put religion down, and that's how he's presenting it. And that's how
the ego of the scientism of this guy saying Jesus could heal the sick. Oh, good freaking job, Jesus. Science does the same thing.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's very arrogant in its presentation, and in mentality and understanding of it.
The arrogance is apparent by the zoom of this guy's camera every time he gets pissed.
If you can see this guy popping up,
every time he gets mad, the camera
just
zooms
in on his
face. Is humongous.
And I gotta say, I don't like to be what's the word? I guess you could say vain in a manner of speaking, or glamour struck, but I don't like to say that people are not, particularly good looking. I don't even want to use the word ugly because I hate it, but God, this guy looks like such an idiot. He looks like a douchebag. I know looks don't matter and it's not important, but fuck me, it's irritating. The guy's obnoxious.
His voice is very...
He's very
irky too.
And it's gonna be, honestly, it's his presentation. It's his person. It's not. He would appear very different if the values in play were different.
Absolutely.
The values affect your very perception in every moment.
Do it again, but it's something that we do have the capability of doing with one single bomb. God said he'd give you bliss and freedom from suffering and immortality. Well, science has given us a higher quality of life. And it's given
God's
us
wrath
freedom
can
from
destroy
many forms
cities.
of
Well,
suffering,
science can
and
do
it
that
frees
with
us
a
from
bomb.
more suffering all the time.
Isn't that
Science
great?
has
Really?
given us
That's
a
so
higher
great.
quality of life. What God and Jesus and all the other gods throughout human history have claimed they would do, science has actually done. And science continues to improve our lives. One day, it might even give us immortality. Hey,
whoa!
If you enjoyed this video,
Dude.
be sure to comment on it, rate it, subscribe to my channel,
we're
follow me on
commenting
Facebook, Twitter,
on it.
and Tumblr, and buy my book. It's down below.
No, I don't think we're gonna buy your book. Thanks, but.
Oh my God, that was so scary.
Okay, so bottom line, to sum up, science.
Autoplay.
Hello, I'm the Amazing. Oh my.
Whoa. Uh-oh. That was a blooper.
I wish you could have seen that. We will put a link to this video.
Yeah, we're going to put a link to this video.
And then just put your autoplay on.
So, science,
Oh no.
in its purest form, science is in understanding the mechanics of reality, making use of the mechanics of reality. Science is God. So, or at the very least, science is at face value the presentation of what God is.
Those things work in tandem, which is so funny how the science people and the religious people are constantly at odds with each other when they are, they're
in
arguing.
agreement.
but they're actually in agreement
Exactly.
that, it's the same thing. It's just all about perception.
That's that throat chakra catalyst event, the catalyst event of language or communication, that we have this Tower of Babel scenario in play wherein we all think that we're arguing with each other, but really we're saying the same things in different ways. Science is our understanding of God. God is the force at work that makes things happen. Creation is evolution. There is no division. There never was. It's all an illusion. So anyways, we've run, damn, this is a long one. Sorry guys. That's going to be it for now. Sweetie Cheeks, you have anything in closing?
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. I want to believe. Very nice to have you back.
Oh, I wish I was still on vacation.
Okay guys, we're going to cut you off here. I think you've had enough. Kila Salai, Terbi Uni Siari, Nama fucking stay, motherfuckers.
I love you all.